guys, welcome back to the Joe Cobra YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be bringing you a retro flashback of Predator, 1987 classic, and my favourite film of all time, and definitely one film that I've seen more than any other film. The film is also directed by John McTiernan, who has directed some of the greatest 80s and 90s action films like The Hunt for the Red October, Die Hard with a Vengeance being two of the best Die Hard films, and Our Last Action Hero, just to name a few. The film stars Arnold Schwarzenegger, Carl Weathers, Jesse Ventura, Sonny Landham, Bill Duke, and Kevin Peter Hall as the Predator. Now, Predator had its fair share of problems while filming in Mexico, like the heat of the jungle, the filming equipment hampered by the jungle's undulations and rough terrain, and with the crew having problems with how the actual Predator costume would end up looking like. Jean-Claude Van Damme was famously meant to play the Predator, and actually got to a stage where they started filming him as the Predator, having him running around the jungle. But along with Van Damme not feeling happy about the film's location, the film's problems, the actual suit that he had to wear, to be fair, the suit was terrible, so you can't really blame him there. But he basically stormed off set, claiming that the film just was not going to happen, and it would never take off, and it would never work. After they went back to the drawing board and brought in the legendary and late Stan Winston to create the Predator. Stan Winston, the main man behind some of Hollywood's greatest screen monsters like Alien, Jurassic Park dinosaurs, the T-800 from the Terminator films. And thank God they did, because as we all know, Predator went on to become a success and one of the most loved film monsters in film history. They also brought in the late Kevin Peter Hall, like I said before, to wear the Predator suit due to his height and how well he moved as the Predator. And from there, really, the film went from strength to strength. The film starts with Dutch and his team getting into a chopper and going to meet General Phillips, who tells them that they have lost contact with the cabinet minister and his aide, and they need Dutch and his team to go in there into the jungle to rescue their team and find out what the hell has happened to them. And here is now where we first meet Dylan, who is played by the amazing Carl Weathers, and we get the most manliest scene that I've ever seen. And after that manly scene, we go on to another manly scene where we get to finally meet Dutch and his team. And boy, what a team they make. When they finally arrive in the jungle, they find Hopper and his men, who were the last team sent in to do the job. And they're all strung up and skinned alive, much to Dutch and his team's disgust. And they all, of course, wonder just what the hell has been going on here. We then get to meet Billy, who is played by Sonny Landham. And he plays the tracker of Dutch's team. And he begins to really doubt what happened there, and being a tracker, he's seen things that just don't add up. After cutting down Hopper and his men, the team proceed into the jungle, and they find a guerrilla camp, and this is where we get to see one of the guerrillas executing one of the hostages, which of course bring the team into play, and also brings us one of our first great action scenes from the film, where they take out the guerrilla camp in style, and where Blaine, the badass played by Jesse Ventura, tells Poncho another famous line of the film.
Son of a bitch is dug in like an Alabama tick.
You're hit. You're bleeding, man.
I ain't got time to bleed.
Oh. Okay. You got time to duck?
Take out the camp, we found that Dylan had Arnie and his team set up for the job and basically dropped in the meat grinder. We also get to meet Anna, played by Elpidia Carino, who I think I pronounced that right, who plays one of the hostages. After the dust settles from the battle, we get to see Hawkins, who is played by Shane Black, who went on to become a very good film writer actually, but then unfortunately directed the flop 2018 The Predator. He proceeds to tell Billy another one of his lame-ass jokes.
Billy! The other day, I was going down to my girlfriend. I said to her, "Jeez, you got a big pussy. Jeez, you got a big pussy." She said, "Why did you say that twice?" I said, "I didn't." See, it's because of the echo.
This is also where we get our first kill, poor old Hawkins, and we see Anna, who tries to get away from the team, and Hawkins, who sets off after her. And once he catches up with her, we see the Predator jump in gut him, take his body away, leave his guts behind, with the team catching up with Anna to find her all bloodied, and proceed to ask her what happened, with her just saying that La Selva lo llevó, the jungle took him. As the team look for Hawkins and his body and try to find out what the hell's going on, we lose a second member of the team. This time it's the badass Blaine, who gets shot by the Predator's laser cannon twice, one on his arm and the killing blow in his chest, leaving a huge crater in his chest. And we get Mac, who is played by Bill Duke, who's actually worked with Arnold before on Commando. He runs to his war buddy's Blaine's help and finds him dead on the floor, and actually is the first one to get an actual glimpse of the Predator, where the Predator shows him his glowing eyes. Later on in the evening, we see the team set up camp and go to sleep, and we get the Predator, who comes into the jungle and steals Blaine's body, and of course the team, hearing all the noise, run to Mac's aid to find him stabbing the hell out of a wild pig. And that causes a lot of amusement between the team. That's when they find out that Blaine's body was taken by the Predator. And this is where Anna sees that the team is really needs a break here. And she proceeds to tell them that when they had the shootout, that they actually must have hit the Predator, because it was bleeding and she found some of the blood on the leaf. So after this information from Anna, the team proceed to set traps for the Predator around the surrounding jungle. After a long wait, Dutch decides to go out into the traps to lure the Predator out. And he succeeds, with the Predator getting caught up in one of the traps, only for him to laser blast his way out of it and set off another one of the traps, sending this huge log into Poncho's chest, busting him up inside. The team starts to split up, with Mac running off after the Predator after seeing him again. And then we also get Dylan coming to terms with what's happening, and he finally then as well runs after Mac to try and help him. Shortly after, Mac jumps Dylan, and they hide in this hole, and and Mac shows him the Predator up in the trees, and they go ahead and they try and hatch a plan to flush the Predator out. After Dylan and Mac's plan goes to shit, we see Dutch and Anna carrying poor Poncho with Billy in tow, but Billy decides to give them some time to get away, and here comes his death scene. And yeah, I wish it was better. Billy was one of my favourite characters, and I wish that we could have got to see him fight the Predator, or just to see how he got killed. But instead, we just hear his big scream, and we get to see the Predator catch up with Arnie and Anna and Poncho, and the Predator takes out Poncho with a laser blast to his head and one to Arnold's arm, leaving Arnold to say his very famous line. Oh, go on then, let's play it.
Run! Go! Get to the chopper!
Now we've just Dutch and the Predator left, and Anna running off to find the chopper. We see Dutch trying his best to get away, and falls down a waterfall into a large lake below, only for the Predator to follow the poor guy down. And then we see Dutch crawling out, and he gets covered in mud and just waits for the inevitable. But then we find out a big clue about the Predator's weaknesses, and that is that he can't see Dutch due to him being covered full of cold mud. Hence, his heat signature vision not working. As the Predator gives up his search, Dutch gets some time to breathe, and he gets all Boy Scout and starts making weapons and traps from what he can find in the jungle around him, as he prepares for the inevitable return of the Predator. All while the Predator polishes off Billy's skull and puts it along with all the other trophies of Dutch's team. Which then brings us to the final scenes, where the Predator catches up with Dutch, and we finally get to see Predator's face in all its glory after he takes off his mask, only for Arnold to utter the famous line,
"You one ugly motherfucker."
Proceeded by Dutch getting the shit kicked out of him for calling the Predator an ugly motherfucker. Dutch then lures the Predator into his last-ditch trap, ending the Predator's reign of terror. The Predator, after seeing that he's lost the fight, goes into self-destruct mode and starts a timer, and finally Arnold Schwarzenegger figures it out and starts running the hell out of there, and then of course the big explosion comes, with Arnold just about getting away. After seeing the explosion, the chopper goes towards the smoke of the explosion to find the battered and bruised Dutch coming out of the smoky jungle, and they pick the poor guy up, where Anna waits for him, and the film ends. And one last thing before the film ends, we also get to see a little cameo from Kevin Peter Hall, who played the Predator. So it was nice to see the poor guy out of the suit and get a credit as well in the film. So guys, I really hope you enjoyed this retro flashback of Predator. Guys, as always, if you don't mind, if you enjoyed the content also, please throw me a subscribe and also hit that bell button so you get a notification whenever my videos are uploaded. And that just leaves me to say thank you guys and take care of yourselves. Bye bye.